Another is the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Dan Kelly and Janet Protasiewicz are facing off in a race that will shape the state's future for decades to come. Dominating this race, of course, has been the money.
Yeah, the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, the most expensive judicial race now in our nation's history. Leading the fundraising has been Liberal candidate Janet Protasiewicz, and political reporter Will Keneally joins us from her watch party over in Milwaukee. Will?
Well, Susan, Eric, and viewers at home, if you've been bombarded by ads this cycle, there's a reason why. Spending in this race has topped $42 million, and that includes outside spending, but the Protasiewicz campaign itself has raised close to $15.5 million. Now, joining us from the Protasiewicz campaign is Sam Rucker to kind of break this all down. Thanks so much for joining us.
Of course.
So kind of want to get a sense of, like, as we're heading into this race, what were the expectations for fundraising?
Yeah, obviously we've been overwhelmed by the support. And I think this just shows how much is at stake. People know that Dan Kelly is an extremist, whether it's on reproductive rights, whether it's on democracy, and that's why they're supporting us. We have supporters all across the state who are really excited about this race.
And all this money in the race, how does that shape the race? I mean, obviously the most prominent is the ads, but is it just the ads? Is it other stuff that this money kind of influences?
Yeah, it's everything from ads to making sure we've got, mail going to voters, to the organization of having people knock on doors, and just everything in between. It really just lets us run that campaign that we need to get our message out.
Wonderful. Sam Rucker, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah, so for his part, though, the Dan Kelly campaign has raised close to $3.1 million, and our Armand Rahman is covering the campaign up in Green Lake, Wisconsin for us. Armand, what are you seeing up there?
Yeah, covering conservative Dan Kelly tonight, who's making a second run at a seat after serving as justice between 2016 and 2020. I'm joined now by Ben Vogel with the campaign. Thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely.
So let's talk geography. What are the key sort of areas of the state you guys are looking at to really get that voter turnout and rack up votes?
Yeah, I mean, we are running a 72 county campaign here. We have grassroots volunteers that are making phone calls, knocking on doors, driving people to the polls, all across the state. So it's tough to really hone in on one or two counties. We really have been putting a big emphasis on the person-to-person interaction, person-to-person campaigning. Ultimately, we feel that's going to be what gets the job done. Not out-of-state millions of dollars that our opponent has relied on. That money doesn't vote. The people of Wisconsin vote. They're at the polls today, and we encourage people to get out and vote until 8 o'clock for Justice Kelly.
Definitely. And Kelly said he sets aside his opinions when it comes to ruling, but he's also been endorsed by many pro-life, anti-abortion groups. How can you tell the voters that he will keep that bias aside when ruling on abortion-related cases?
Well, he will. I mean, that's just his background. That's his track record. He's already served as Supreme Court justice, and he's proven his impartiality. On the other side, Janet Protasiewicz has said she will put her thumb on the scale. As antithetical to equal justice and fairness as we have in our judicial system, Dan Kelly's going to follow the rule of law, apply the law evenly, and you know what? He's going to rule on the facts of the case, whether he agrees politically with any candidate or not.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben, so much for your time. We'll turn it right back now to you, Eric and Susan.